Whether we like it or not, we live in an age where beauty has become the most important asset to a lot of people, especially millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha. Throughout the centuries, we have always put beauty on a pedestal, but what society sees as beautiful is based off of whatever popular media tells us is beautiful. Whether it's the paintings and sculptures of the ancient times, fashion magazines throughout the modern times, the toxic idol culture of the East, or whatever beauty influencer is trending, at the end of the day, it's always some kind of conglomerate family or corporation that basically brainwashes the masses into thinking who is beautiful and who is not. The only difference now is that there is an overabundance of ways a person can alter their appearance in order to fit whatever beauty mold they desire. On top of that, there is a multitude of digital media made by the seemingly everyday person, giving you a step-by-step tutorial on how to achieve the beautiful face that you desire. All the while, those same media spaces that house these influencers are filtering out what the system's algorithm deems as ugly. Coincidentally, the Twilight Zone has covered fictitious futures where beauty is so easily accessible that it's mandatory. This video does contain spoilers for the Twilight Zone episodes Eye of the Beholder and Number 12 Looks Just Like You. In my personal opinion, beauty was meant to be completely subjective, meaning everyone was meant to be beautiful and ugly at the same time. It just depends on who's looking at them and whether they match up to that individual's perception of beauty. But that isn't the reality that we live in. The average person is hooked on the internet, specifically social media, and the algorithms are created to keep you there for as long as it possibly can, bombarding you with all sorts of media propaganda. One of them being an oddly specific kind of beautiful face being plastered all over the internet. The ramification of seeing many of the same kind of beautiful faces on the internet is that now women, and sometimes even men, who are not in this very small box of beauty are being mocked and or pressured into conforming to this small box. Women and men who are seen as ugly have always been mocked to some degree in the past. But now that we have easier access to cosmetics, injections, and surgeries to fix your face and body, people feel even more pressure to look a certain way. At this point, we all know about TikTok filtering quote-unquote ugly people, disabled people, people who do not live in quote-unquote nice homes out of their algorithm, meaning that people that TikTok deems as ugly or do not live in what they think is an aesthetically pleasing environment have had their content suppressed. This is why when you see trending videos, it's all the same hobbies, the same foods, the same faces, and the same homes. Because a machine that does not have the same concept of nuance as a human is now deciding what's aesthetically pleasing and what's not. This is where the Twilight Zone episode Eye of the Beholder that aired in 1960 fits in. Throughout the episode, you see a woman with a bandaged up face crying about wanting to look normal. She starts off talking about how her face made a child scream in horror. It's stated from the woman and the other people in the hospital that this woman in bandages is so ugly that she looks like a monster. One nurse even says that it's hard to think of her as a human without the bandages on. For the majority of the episode, the viewer does not see the faces of any of the characters. It's not until close to the end of the episode that all of the characters' faces are revealed, when the bandages finally come off and the doctor yells in horror that the treatment failed yet again. The first face we see is the face of the monstrously ugly woman in juxtaposition to the normal-looking people at the hospital. Normal-looking faces that even by 2026 standards are monstrous. I don't think anyone in 2026 would want to look like this. But this is the beauty standard that their society has set for them, and everyone must adhere to it. During the beginning of Eye of the Beholder, It is revealed that the woman has already undergone 10 treatments in order to make herself look human like everyone else, and she is at the final treatment before being cast aside into a small community of ugly people, a place the woman viciously calls a ghetto, a place she desperately does not want to go to. As the woman is literally running away from her unfortunate fate, the viewer faces video propaganda of that world, claiming that everyone must conform to sameness, blanket the earth and infiltrate and weaken, and we know now that there must be a single purpose, a single norm, a single approach, a single entity of people, a single virtue, a single morality, a single frame of reference, a single philosophy of government. We must cut off all that is different, like a cancerous growth. As the woman is being taken to the village where all the ugly people who failed the treatment 11 times go, she is told by the representative of the ugly town to say, "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder," over and over. And it is. Just like this episode, we as a society are just force fed what is supposed to be pretty and ugly based off of the ideas that come from a small group of powerful people that we will never meet. In 1964, The Twilight Zone aired yet another dystopian future where everyone is required to be beautiful, called Number 12 Looks Just Like You. This episode is the companion episode of Eye of the Beholder, as well as the television adaptation to the book The Beautiful People by Charles Beaumont, published in 1952. By the way, this book is so old that you can read it for free at the Project Gutenberg website. The episode Number 12 Looks Just Like You depicts a world where when a person turns 19, they undergo what's called a transformation. The 19-year-old patient gets to pick a model that they want to look like. In this world, female model number 12 and male model number 17 are so popular that people are required to have name tags on at all times due to everyone looking the same. Aside from the main character Marilyn, who hasn't undergone her transformation, all of the characters in the episode are either female models number 12 or 8 and male model number 17. The transformation isn't only cosmetic, it also prolongs a person's lifespan and alters the thinking process of the transformed person. And number 12 looks just like you. The person's thought process is altered in a way where they are docile, always happy, unable to be angry or sad, and unable to feel empathy for others. During the episode, you'll notice that whenever Marilyn is distraught in any way, she's always offered a glass of instant smile, which suggests that being happy is the expected default emotion for everyone. This transformation also completely halts the physical aging process. So, in that world, everyone gets to be young looking and beautiful for hundreds of years, something that a lot of millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha would love since we have this weird ageism and fear of aging that's been going on in the past few years. We're now seeing millennials and even older Gen Z who haven't even hit 30 yet, freaking out over the fact that they're aging, no longer able to obtain that beautiful face due to signs of an aging face. This is more than likely why certain Gen Z women who are far from 30 look 30 or even older, because they've been shooting themselves up with Botox since high school, thinking that it would help them retain their youthfulness while chasing the trending aesthetic, only for it to backfire. We're even seeing very young Gen Alpha girls who are smearing their already perfect skin with retinol and other anti-aging creams in hopes of retaining their youthful face. And we have yet to see what effects that will have in the future. It used to be that aging was seen as a blessing because many people do not get that luxury. Now aging is seen as the mortal enemy of millennials, Gen Z, and even the new up-and-coming little Gen Alpha. This particular episode does have the narrator begin his narration with, Given the chance, what young girl wouldn't happily exchange a plain face for a lovely one? What girl could refuse the opportunity to be beautiful? For the most part, this is true. It's safe to say that most young girls and even young boys, now with the rise in looks maxing, would love to be beautiful. Pretty privilege has been a discussion point for longer than I've been alive. This Twilight Zone episode is from the 1960s, based off of a story written in the 1950s. If this story were a person, it would be an actual boomer. I think the biggest difference about the discussion on pretty privilege is that men are a bigger part of it. Before, it was mainly women that were talked about when it came to outward appearance, but now we've popularized this persona that we all call Chad. That male top tier guy who's hooking up with all the girls and leaving all the lower tier guys in the dust. Looks maxing is basically about young boys and men who aspire to be this Chad guy, or at least have a leg up on Chad. Personally, I think it's really funny that we gave this male archetype the name Chad, but I unfortunately did know guys in high school and college that did what the incel community calls pump and dump girls. But I think if given the opportunity, a lot of guys might actually pump and dump girls too. So, to me, Chad for boys and men in either the looks maxing and incel community seem to be a source of jealousy, envy, and or aspiration. Number 12 looks just like you follows the story of a girl named Marilyn who's on the verge of turning 19, but she refuses to go through with the transformation. It has never been stated to Marilyn that the transformation is mandatory. Marilyn's father even told her not to get the transformation, so it's safe to assume the people aren't told that it's a mandatory procedure. Unfortunately, it becomes clear to Marilyn that she will have to transform, and everyone around her cannot understand why she doesn't want to undergo the transformation. Marilyn desperately tries to get her mother and best friend to understand why she doesn't want to go through with the transformation. She argues that when everyone is beautiful, no one will be, because without ugliness, there can be no beauty. Which is true, and we are seeing the scale of what's beautiful and what's ugly being altered in real time with the influx of both synthetic and surgical beauties. The scale is pushing over what used to be a 7 to a 6 or even a sub 5. This is because for beauty to exist, there needs to be a foil. When too many people are beautiful, something has to give way. Right now, we're very quickly seeing what was once a pretty or above average girl 5 years ago be considered mid or even chopped. And with how quickly trends come and go, now we have an overabundance of the same archetype of beauty due to many girls basically buying the same face. Now there are videos saying this once beautiful face everyone spent thousands to obtain is basic. Because beauty is supposed to be something that evokes pleasure. If too many people have this beautiful thing and it's plastered all over social media for millions to see every single day, it will no longer evoke pleasure to the eye because it's the same thing over and over. It becomes boring. In the Twilight Zone episode, it is explained to Marilyn that the reason why the transformation makes everyone beautiful is to get rid of some of the social injustices in the world, basically getting rid of pretty privilege altogether. Despite everyone being the same, the people still perceive each other as beautiful. It's suggested that that has something to do with how the transformation also distorts the patient's mind. Marilyn's mother still marvels at the beauty of model number 12, despite that being her own model, the face she sees every single day on herself and many others around her. And even Marilyn, once transformed, is in love with her own beauty, despite being the exact same model as her best friend. But since we in the real world don't have some weird mad scientist altered brain, our perception of beauty, though distorted, will become bored of the redundancy. When looking into looks maxing, you find that they have this rating system based on some weird calculative algorithm.
Who is the best-looking Superman? Final part. David Corenswet. David has almond-shaped blue-colored eyes with no scleral show and a good IPD. His eyebrows are low-set with a good amount of density and a slight positive tilt. His cheekbones are really high-set with prominent zygos. He has a wide lower third, an ideal mid-face ratio, balanced facial third. He has a great jawline definition, a relatively tall ramus with a long mandible, a lean hyoid area, and a forwardly grown chin. However, his nasal frontal angle and his nasolabial angle are both high, and he has a bad brow ridge inclination. He has upper eyelid exposure, a bad HWR of the eye, a bad chin to philtrum ratio, a bad mouth to nose ratio, and his upper lip could be thicker. David Corenswet is a 7.75 out of 10 facially, a really rare and unique looking face.
I honestly don't like these calculations because I feel like features that may be seen as unattractive can look attractive on certain faces. It's all about your own personal balance. But when you use numbers and figures in this way, it has to be in relation to a singular form of beauty, which goes right back to eye of the beholder. I believe beauty is meant to be subjective. It's not supposed to be objective. But when you use algorithms to define beauty, beauty all of a sudden becomes objective, especially when these algorithms are used to trick the minds of the masses into thinking that there's only one kind of beauty, all the while giving everyone access to obtain that one kind of beauty. Everything ends up becoming the same, just like Eye of the Beholder, and number 12 looks just like you. Eerily enough, the episode of number 12 looks just like you ends with the monologue, portrait of a young lady in love with herself. Improbable? Perhaps. But in an age of plastic surgery, bodybuilding, and an infinity of cosmetics, let us hesitate to say impossible. These and other strange blessings may be waiting in the future, which after all is the Twilight Zone.